What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Marvel Snap video. And today we're full screen because I'm talking about something a little bit different today. I want to talk about something that's been kind of bothering me lately, and I've seen that it's been bothering other people in the community as well. And that is hot and featured locations in Marvel Snap. So, if you are unaware of what I'm talking about, featured locations are new locations that will occur every Wednesday, and they will have a 40% chance to appear in your games for the next 48 hours. And then hot locations are every Saturday, and they will appear in 60% of your games for the next 24 hours. So, what is the problem with these hot and featured locations? Well, first off, let's talk about what I actually do like about the hot and featured locations, because I think they actually do have some pros to them. You know, they add some variety to the metagame so it doesn't get stale. I think it also incentivizes using lesser played cards during those locations. Like, I think anytime there's a featured or a hot location come up, I think Quake is like always a consideration. I was actually playing Quake during the Space Throne, the past hot location, and that was actually pretty fun. You know, I feel like Quake is pretty garbage for the most part, but when there's a hot or featured location going around, I feel like Quake actually gains some value. So I think that's one good thing about the locations, and it does keep things a little bit fresh, right? So maybe you're running into the same decks over and over again. Well, people are kind of forced to adapt to take advantage or counter these featured and hot locations for the next day or two. So it does kind of change up the metagame a little bit for the next couple days, which I guess could be seen as a pro or a con, but I guess it is nice to have some variety so it's not, just the same decks over and over again. And one last thing I do like about them is I think they encourage good deck building, because you can't necessarily use the same decks you're using before. Maybe you can with maybe just like a couple minor adjustments, but you really need to kind of adapt. And I think it's going to reward the better deck builders out there. And I think they're going to have a better time with the hot and featured location. So that is what I like about them. But I actually think the cons outweigh the pros in this scenario. So let's go ahead and talk about what I don't like about these locations popping up every week. So first off, one that's a big issue for me personally, and I think a lot of other people, is that it limits deck testing. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're messing with a deck, you unlock a new card. Let's say maybe you're playing a zero deck, you just unlocked Shuri, and you're like, oh man, I can't wait to try out this Shuri zero deck. But then you're like, oh wait, it's a Wednesday, and there's this new stupid location that totally screws up that entire deck. So you're like, well, I guess I'm not playing that deck for the next 2 days. And that just feels very bad. Like, I get that on paper, it's a good idea to keep the meta fresh, to keep the ladder fresh, but really, like, limiting what kind of decks you can play on certain days is just such a bad idea, I think. Now, let's say, for example, some people don't play this game every day. Some people don't play it religiously, like maybe I do. I play this game nonstop all day every day. Maybe let's say someone doesn't have a lot of time to play Marvel Snap, and let's say maybe they want to log on and play a few games, but they're like, oh, there's a featured location, well, I guess I'm not playing today. Oh, there's this new hot location, well, I don't have whatever card to take advantage of it, right? So, well, I guess I'm not playing for the day. And that's really bad. I think it really discourages people from playing the game, and that's just really overall a negative experience for a lot of players, I think. Now, the next thing I don't like about these locations popping up is it interrupts your climbing flow. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're getting into the flow of things, right? Like you're starting to win games, you're starting to get into the flow of a specific deck you're playing. You're really starting to learn the ins and out of that deck, what to snap on, when to retreat. You're like, okay, I'm feeling good, I'm climbing. I got to rank from rank 70 to rank 80, and then this location comes out and it screws up your entire climb. That is just a terrible terrible feeling. Like, you'll be like, okay, well, maybe I'll just try and play that deck I was working with because I feel really confident with it now. Well, now suddenly everything has changed for the next 24 or 48 hours, and you rank back all the way down to 70 or wherever it may be that you started. And that sucks, man. That's just a really, really crappy feeling, and I don't like that. It just really sucks because now let's say you got to build a new deck to adapt to this location for the next day or two, and well, maybe you need to test that deck out a little bit. And when there's deck testing involved, there's probably going to be a lot of losses, a lot of retreats as you're learning how to play that deck. So it's kind of like almost starting from scratch or where you were before playing your previous deck that you're confident with. Now you got to build up your confidence again with a new deck. And then once you build up confidence with that deck, you're like, well, now this location is over. I don't want to play this deck anymore. So it's just a bad feeling all around, in my opinion. And now another thing I've actually been starting to notice more lately with these locations is that it discourages streamers and YouTubers from producing content on those specific days, Wednesdays and Thursdays for the featured locations and Saturdays for the hot locations. Like, I believe it was Mogwai who said he was actually changing his streaming schedule because he didn't want to stream during those locations. And that's just like, I mean, totally reasonable. Like, good for him. Like, you know, no disrespect for him or anything like that. You do what you got to do. But the fact that it's so much of an inconvenience that someone has to change their streaming schedule to play around that, which I think Second Dinner is thinking like people want to play more during these featured and hot locations, but it's really having the opposite effect. People are not wanting to play during those days, and that just really sucks. So yeah, I think that really sucks for content creators. I think Snapster / Dexter had the same thing where he said he was going to stream one day, but he wasn't really feeling it because of the location. And yeah, totally understandable. I feel the same way. Sometimes I log in, play a few games of Snap, and I'm like, oh yeah, this location's here. Well, let me do my daily missions and get out of here, right? Instead of playing all day like maybe I do on a regular day. So yeah, I think that is a growing issue for sure. Now, how can we improve the featured and hot location systems? Well, I have a couple suggestions that I came up with myself, but actually after I came up with those suggestions, a team member from Second Dinner, Steven, put in the official Marvel Snap Discord a message that they were actually thinking about changing how these locations work. So this is how his message reads. He says, "You would be surprised how much we read. We have plans to shorten featured locations to 24 hours and may experiment with not having a hot location for a week or two at some point." So I think that it's very good that Second Dinner is listening to feedback. So far, from what I've seen, I've been pretty impressed with Second Dinner and how they handle feedback. It seems like, you know, they've been listening to a lot of different problems and acting on them. So I really do appreciate that from Second Dinner. I think that's one of the things that makes Marvel Snap such a really good card game, is not only is the gameplay unique, the IP is awesome, and the games are short, but also Second Dinner listens, right? Like, people complained about the leader being busted, myself included. Absolutely hated that card. It got nerfed. And then people were complaining that the rewards for hitting Infinite weren't that cool. It was just like a title. And now for hitting Infinite last season, we got a golden card back. And I mean, it's not anything crazy special, right? But it's still something. They're still listening, and now they're listening to feedback on the featured and hot location. So I really do appreciate that they're listening to our feedback. But before I actually saw that message was posted, I came up with a few suggestions of my own. One of them would be just reduce the chance of those specific locations appearing during the hot and featured locations. So featured locations show up in 40% of your games, and hot locations show up in 60% of your games. What if we lower that to maybe just like 30%? I don't know. Is that too low? Maybe that won't make that much of a difference. Yeah, I don't know. That could be an option. Another option would be just to reduce the amount of time they last. So featured locations could be 24 hours, like Steven suggested, and maybe hot locations can be 12 hours. I don't know. I think that's another decent option. But the third option that I have is actually, I think, the most interesting, and I think it could be fun, it could be a bad idea, it could be a good idea. Let me know what you guys think. But my third suggestion is that they make it a separate game mode from ranked, but they add in-game rewards or missions, right? They give you things like maybe credits, gold, tokens, maybe an exclusive card back or something. Like you know, when they added battle mode, there's that the little icon on the bottom of the menu says game modes being plural, so battle mode is one of those modes. But what if they add another mode? It could be like, oh, you want to play this hot location, whatever, and it's separate from ranked, right? It's unranked, so it doesn't affect your rank, but there is some sort of incentive to play that game mode. Let's say you get these daily missions that are specific to that game mode, like play 5 matches of this hot location, get 500 gold or something. I don't know. I'm just making a number up, right? But that's an interesting idea. I think that is something that definitely could be an idea, could be thought about. Let me know what you guys think about that idea. So that was just me kind of ranting a little bit about the hot and featured locations in Marvel Snap. Overall, any feedback I give on this game is because I absolutely love this game and I just really want it to succeed. You know, I've been putting a lot of time into this game, so I want it to be the best that it could be, the most fun that it could be. I really, really love this game. So yeah, let me know what you think about my suggestions. Let me know if you have a better suggestion on how you would change how the featured and hot locations work. I think it just really sucks when you're just getting on a roll, ranking up, getting all those cubes, and then a new location comes out, and then boom, like it just stops your progress, and you feel like you just hit a wall. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for listening to my rant. I appreciate you guys. Oh, and if you stayed to the end of the video, the keyword for this one is gonna be MODOK. So if you stay to the end of the video, type in MODOK in the comments, and I know you watched to the end. Once again, thank you for watching. Appreciate you. See you in the next one. Later.